Evander Holyfield Real Deal Boxing was released by Sega in 1992 for the Genesis. It features Holyfield, of course, and a whole bunch of made-up boxers, although none of them are as interesting or wacky as the characters in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! But this is a whole different type of a game. Acme Interactive, who were in charge of development of the game, aimed for a boxing simulator over a cartoony arcade-style game. It's a side-angled camera view, but the ring is still a 3D space, as evidenced by the top-down map in the corner. But that's mostly just for show. You can't control your side movements at all. The only thing you have to worry about is getting caught in a corner, and you can easily tell if you're getting close on the main screen, so there's not much of a point of this map. Aside from the health meter, which is an indicator for your overall energy, when you lose it all, you get knocked down and have to quickly button tap to get back up. You also get a meter for both your head and body. So if you focus on one area and damage it enough to empty out either of these meters, the ref will stop the fight and declare it a TKO. And you can even bust their eye open. There's also a judge that scores the rounds, and although it's not completely flawless, it's still a pretty realistic gauge of scoring the fight, and it does use the real-life point system, although it's only one judge. You can have anywhere between 1 and 12 rounds, and each round runs for 3 minutes on an accelerated clock, so it's more like a minute and a half each. In career mode though, you can't pick the amount of rounds, that depends on where you are in the rankings. There are two main modes of play: a one-fight exhibition where 1 or 2 players can fight with any of the boxers in the top 30 rankings, including Holyfield. And then there's the career mode where you create a boxer, customize his hair, face, skin, trunks, and whether he's a lefty or a righty. You can also choose your attributes between power, stamina, speed, and defense, although you can only use so many points throughout all 4 levels. In between fights, you can upgrade your attributes by selecting up to 3 different items that each provide a boost in certain areas. If you win, you get to pick 3 items. If you lose, you can only pick 2, or 1 if you're on a bad streak. You enter at the bottom of the rankings and can challenge someone within the confines of your current ranking. So you're unable to go on and fight Holyfield or the #1 contender or anything like that right away. But you can't just hang around and beef yourself up until you're maxed out and then go challenge Holyfield, because after a certain point, you'll have reached your peak and actually start to decline, and you won't be able to use as many upgrade items in between fights, so you want to find the right balance between developing your skills and going for the belt. What's interesting is that you're not the only one that ages. The other fighters in the rankings will eventually drop out of the mix and be replaced with newly created guys, including Holyfield himself, although you have to knock him off his perch as #1 for that to happen. When you do win the title, you'll have to defend the belt a few times against Holyfield and a few other guys. Once you bypass Holyfield's career winnings, you'll take over his spot as the greatest, which will forever be on display via the main menu. Or if you're tired of all the generic made-up fucks, you can reset the cartridge and it goes back to Holyfield being #1. What's cool too is that you can have multiple user-controlled boxers in the same career mode, so you can battle the CPU schmucks or your real-life friend schmucks, although you can't have any more than 2 created boxers in one save. The gameplay is all around solid. The controls are easy to figure out, even though there's a lot of different punches that you can use to string together combos, including a trash talk option. It's still a very pick-up-and-play type of game. But even though it's user-friendly and you can have a button-mashing contest, you're still going to hone your skills more by learning combos and conserving your energy. If you go all in, your max health won't regenerate as much, which makes the stamina attribute important. On top of that, the graphics are great, and the animations offer up a lot of different frames, which gives you flexibility and adds to the realism, although they are a little choppy. But then again, that might just be relative, because that was one of the things that was improved in the game's sequel, Greatest Heavyweights, which we'll get into another time. But Real Deal is certainly a great boxing title in its own right, and is still fun to go back to every now and again. And that wraps up this edition of Aqualung's Game Reviews. See you next time.